Okay, it's loading. There we go. All right. So, Chapter 9, Section 2, we're going to do the early Mesoamerican civilizations. So, this first civilization that we're going to talk about today is the Olmec. So, the Olmec is obviously located in the Mexico area. This is just a map pulled up. Whenever we talk about Mesoamerica, we're talking about this bottom part of Mexico, central area. And it's very important to go back and look at civilizations that developed here. For instance, the Olmec, they're going to be one of your first civilizations there. But here's Mesoamerica. So it's south from Central America to northern Honduras. So right here, location, and then Honduras is here. So you're looking at Mesoamerica being about here. Okay, which is kind of dab point in the middle. The Olmec is considered the mother culture. Some people refer to it as that. Um, this civilization began in Mesoamerica probably 3,000 plus years ago. This is when your complex societies start beginning. And um, the rise of the Olmec civilization thrived from 800 to 400 BC. They lived along the Gulf Coast of Mexico, and you can see here, you see where the Gulf of Mexico is located, that waterway, and then you're going to need to look about right here along the coastal line of Mesoamerica, and you're going to see in the green, that's where like the Olmecs would have began. Whenever they began, they developed their cities known as La Venta and then San Lorenzo. But La Venta is the only one on the map at the moment. If you look over here and you see the statue, they would build monuments to represent maybe Olmec rulers. We don't know too much about this culture, but we know that the faces that the monuments depicted, they had bigger lips, their faces were wider. So we have an idea of maybe what they would have looked like coming from what they created their monuments with and how they made them look. But um, yeah, so there's the Olmec. That's Mesoamerica's first known civilization builders. So it's very important that you know that the Olmec was the first in Mesoamerica that we can date back. Okay. They lived along the Gulf Coast. I know this map is a little pixelated, but it's okay. We don't need it too long. I just wanted to show you, like, the Gulf of Mexico literally outlines the United States, and it goes all the way down to Mexico. And you're going to see that, well, they have an abundance of water sources near them, even though it's saltwater. But the Gulf Coast geography, there were swamps and jungles. It was hot and humid. At least 100 inches of rain fell each year. So that contributed to flooding. And then we know in the past in civilizations that flooding wasn't always a bad thing, because when it flooded, that meant that crops could be harvested, or crops could get that water, and then it would be easier to harvest them whenever it was time. So, I mean, it's not always bad. So some advantages of living near the Gulf Coast was there was abundant deposits of salt and tar and fine clay, and obviously you're going to get the salt from the ocean, but the fine clay that was found, that could be used to create pottery items. Wood and rubber from the forests helped them probably build villages, things like that. There were also rivers throughout Mesoamerica. Um, that would allow for transportation. So if they had a little boat or something, they could move. And then the floodplains and the rivers, that provided the fertile soil. You want fertile soil, you have to have fertile soil. So the oldest, oh, this map's blurred too. I'm sorry. The oldest Olmec site is San Lorenzo, so right here. San Lorenzo was the first. It was before La Venta. And this is probably where the Olmec took off. Okay, if that's going to be a really big city, you need to know those two, San Lorenzo and La Venta.